with Michelle Knezovic and Junnie Riddle. Presented by Superbook Sports on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Happy Saturday, Nashville. Welcome into Michelle and Junnie. Michelle Knezovic back in the saddle today with Junnie Riddle, Nick Frazier. We are live from our Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Game Studios this morning. I took a little hiatus from the show. Life was a little crazy, but fellas, it is so good to be back. It feels so good to be back here today, Junnie.
Did you hear our nickname that we've given you? Miss Continental USA. All over the place. Chicago, New Orleans, Florida, New York. She's everywhere. She's all over the country. She is Miss Continental USA all over the place.
Was Route 66 great?
I will say I have had the luxury of, in any of the road trips, being a passenger princess and don't have to drive. So shout out to Ryan from Chicago for being the driver.
Spoil her. Listen, my wife doesn't drive, so like she's from New York. She's used to taking trains and stuff. But if she had a license, I'm like, hey, we're swapping out. Papa needs some sleep in the passenger seat. So
I don't sleep though. I am a great GPSer in the side. I'm a great co-pilot.
Really? You
Yes.
don't sleep on?
No.
Yikes. I mean, I don't really sleep either, but like if I was you, I'd be driving. I love the drive at like 4 a.m. When I went to opening day last year, I was interning with you. I took my grandmother and we went to St. Louis for opening day, never been. And I was like, Nani, let's get up at like 3:30. We'll get there, have
She's
lunch.
like, Nick, oh gosh.
She goes, I need my coffee from McDonald's. Like, okay, we pull a coffee at McDonald's. No coffee available at McDonald's. They're not even open.
Oh my
but we're
goodness.
driving at like 4 or 5 in the morning. It was awesome. It was great. Nobody was on the road. Got there in like 4.5 hours. It only takes about 5, but hey, who's counting, right?
Nobody was on the road at that. You are a night owl though, or early morning.
Yeah,
riser,
I
guess.
love the early mornings. I don't like the late nights like till midnight, but hey, I work here from midnight sometimes. But yeah, I love the early mornings, 4 a.m.
Well, it is so great to be back, to not be Miss Continental USA, and to be sitting right here with you all in our Game Center studios today. And we have, first off, we've got so much to catch up on. We have so much going on, even in an off season where the games are dwindling. Obviously, the NBA playoffs are kind of dwindling out. The NHL playoffs are dwindling out. But we have OTAs. We finally have some substance, some football, and we have some things to talk about. I was really excited to come in this morning because I saw a story that surfaced. And, of course, I'm like, Junnie, I'm not going to tell you what I'm talking about. And, of course, you knew it because you are our resident Steelers fan. Woke up this morning, decided to check the cell phone, the Twitter, the social media accounts, get a little updated before I come into the studio. And I see Kenny Pickett, quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers, was getting a haircut. And his car was stolen, but
he was doing a radio hit.
Oh, he's doing a radio hit. Why did I think haircut? Radio hit. And the playbook was in the car while his car was stolen, Junnie.
Yeah.
Did you have a mini panic attack when you saw this?
I did because I was just like, well, number one, I'm happy he has his playbook with him because he's constantly working, looking it over. He's trying to be a master of the offense, which, we need. So, but yeah, no, getting your car stolen, like I just don't know how the franchise quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers gets his car stolen. Like, can we not have somebody protecting the vehicle over here, especially when the prized possession of the playbook is in the back seat?
You are lucky
Cleveland's only 2 hours away, people.
You're lucky like a crazy Browns, Bengals, Ravens, any AFC team didn't find that because I was nervous for a bit. And he has the car back, right?
Yeah. They found it. They arrested the guy. But yeah, I mean that's
He's like,
crazy.
I don't care about the car. Give me the playbook. Tomlin's gonna kill me.
Yeah, I mean listen, he's a franchise quarterback. He's first round pick. He can afford a car. Like it's cars aren't the worry. Somebody in Pittsburgh would donate him a new vehicle, but it's the playbook is what matters. The season is on the line. We can't have the playbook getting into the wrong hands.
Yeah, so especially Cleveland, like you say, Cleveland's only 2 hours from there.
Yeah, so somebody could have made a trip during his radio hit. I mean, that's how close they are, and came and snagged up his car. But luckily it was found. I mean, likely the dude just saw a nice car and stole it, and wanted to try and see if he could get away with it. Probably had no idea that a binder full of play, like he didn't even look at that. So, but good thing is, the guy was found. Car's good. and it all ended well. But yeah, that could have been disastrous.
We are happy that Kenny Pickett has his playbook back. Oh, and also his car. But
Yes.
mostly
The playbook is what matters.
the playbook is what matters. Just kind of going around the sports world right now, just kind of going over some of the headlines like we like to do every single morning for our morning brew. This was something, Junnie, that I saw earlier this morning. Sports Illustrated put it out there that Will Ferrell reportedly is going to play John Madden in the new Madden movie.
I saw that, and I think that that's really interesting because, Will Ferrell, known as an all-time great comedian, which I'm a Will Ferrell guy. Some
I
people
love Will Ferrell.
like my mom hates Will Ferrell. Some people either love him or you hate him because you just don't like the humor. But I'm a big Will Ferrell guy, so I'm very interested to see how he plays Madden. And I think that this is a huge role, and I think, a lot of NFL fans are going to be really critical of this because of how, iconic John Madden is. So I'm really interested to see how he does. I haven't really seen him in a serious role, so it'll be interesting to see his take and how he decides to play John Madden.
I absolutely love it. I'm on the same page as you, Junnie. Love Will Ferrell, kicking and screaming, shake and bake Ricky Bobby. I mean, every role he plays. And I feel like it will translate well just because John Madden I feel like being jolly is a good way to describe him, especially in his second half of, his career when he was doing all the TV things and stuff like that. So excited to see that, and definitely will be a movie that going to need to put on the list. John Gruden helping Derek Carr. You put this one in on the spreadsheet today.
Yeah, so I saw an interesting thing that the Saints have brought in John Gruden to kind of help the Saints, implement an offense that is suitable for Derek Carr. And it's really interesting to me because all the reports that I had heard was that Gruden and Derek Carr didn't have the best relationship. It's not like it was super toxic, but it was always, Derek Carr needs to perform or Gruden is going to go find his guy. And it just seemed like they were always on thin ice. And so to hear that, Gruden has been brought in by the Saints as kind of like a little consultant to help the Saints formulate the best offense around Derek Carr is really interesting to see, especially, with him losing his job. Basically he's kind of blackballed from the NFL. So to see him kind of, getting in there and doing that, I just found that intriguing.
Yeah, I think that's kind of, maybe strange just from the outside looking in because, Junnie, I agree with you. I thought that, they had beef, I guess you could say, and didn't work well together. But it's definitely interesting because, well, the Tennessee Titans head to New Orleans for week 1 and play the New Orleans Saints. And I think if you take a look at intriguing teams this year, like which team could be a team that could emerge and be more successful maybe than they look from face value. And I really do think it's the Saints. Obviously, a lot will depend on Alvin Kamara's health and obviously his legal issues that he's dealing with right now. But I look at what Derek Carr happened, and I think, he probably is playing with a chip on his shoulder this year. Down in New Orleans, they're in an easy division, right? It's him and pretty much Baker Mayfield going at. And obviously, you got Bryce Young, and then you got Ritter in Atlanta. But I look at that division. I look at the New Orleans Saints and Derek Carr, and now bringing in Gruden, one of the more intriguing teams that could emerge out of their division.
Yeah, so I got the article pulled up here from ESPN.com. It says the Saints version of the West Coast offense is an offshoot of the one former coach Sean Payton used during his 15 seasons as head coach in New Orleans, and it had its roots with Gruden. Payton and Gruden coached together in 1997 with the Philadelphia Eagles, where Gruden was the offensive coordinator and Payton was the quarterback's coach. So a lot of ties there, in the coaching tree with, Payton and Gruden coaching together in Philadelphia. So I guess they're trying to, pull some things together and obviously, freshen it up to make sure that Derek Carr is as comfortable as he could. Because, like you mentioned, the Saints are an interesting team. They had a borderline top 5 defense last year. Like, they were pretty good defensively. And Chris Olave had a really good year. Michael Thomas, can he come back and stay healthy? Alvin Kamara, might be facing suspension to begin the season. But when he comes back, the Saints could be a really sleeper team, especially with them being in the NFC South, and I would say on paper they should be the favorites. So it's really interesting to see that the Saints are really trying to do whatever they can to pull everything together so that Derek Carr can get off running to kick off the season here in 2023.
And a quote from Derek Carr, just based off of adding Gruden in the offense. A quote, "It's a new system, new words, but a lot of similarities to the things that I grew up on and believe in," Carr told NOLA.com. "Still a learning curve, but not as big of a curve as it could have been in a different system or a different offense." So that's always one of the biggest things when you see, obviously, a quarterback, head to a different team or you get a new offensive coordinator. It's been something that we've actually been talking about here in Tennessee with Tim Kelly taking over. And one of the biggest takeaways, Junnie, I took away from OTAs is that Chigakonkwo, when he spoke to the media, they've been talking so much about the offense getting faster, the offense getting faster. Okay, well, what does that mean? Obviously, it means faster players, speed, amping it up. But, Chig went into saying, okay, Tim Kelly has tried to get us to learn concepts more and then using one word communicating when you're communicating the play calls, communicating to the quarterback who then communicates it to the team. And it's just like a more efficient way of doing that. And, hearing that from Derek Carr and hearing that here, like, that's actually one thing I'm really interested to see, like, how different this offense can be when maybe the communication is a little bit more efficient.
He's trying to strip it down to the studs. You want to make it more simplistic. You don't want it to be overcomplicated because as of right now, offensively, the Tennessee Titans are really inexperienced. And so with inexperience, you just want to dumb it down as much as you can to get the best out of your players, because the last thing you want your players to do is, lining up at the line, getting the call, and then being confused, because that's only going to cause havoc. When you have a really young team, and especially with the offensive line and the reboot, the young receivers, you want them to know exactly what's going on. And if you can kind of simplify the calls and simplify the naming of concepts, then that's really going to kind of help them going. And as they grow and mature, things are going to get a little bit more simple, and then you can kind of expand the way that you call plays. But no, I think it's a good way to start out, and especially if Downing was making it a little bit overcomplicated. I mean, that could have caused a lot of confusion last year and put the Titans offensively in some bad situations.
Admirals versus Firebirds game 2 at 7 p.m. tonight. You've also got the Celtics game 6 in Miami tonight. The Celtics hang on. Miami still leads 3-2. And I want to ask a question to all of our listeners today. So we are going to be discussing this the entire show long. One of the biggest headlines that came out yesterday is that the Arizona Cardinals released DeAndre Hopkins. He obviously has been one of the biggest stories this offseason. Would there be a trade made for him? Would he get released? And now the question is, where will he end up? Which team will go and try to get him? So the question I'm asking all Titans fans or NFL fans just listening right now is, how different would you feel about this offense if the Tennessee Titans went out and got DeAndre Hopkins? How different would you feel about this offense if the Tennessee Titans went out and got DeAndre Hopkins? We're taking your text, we're taking your calls, 615-737-1025, all show long. But coming up next, somebody did not rank the Tennessee Titans offseason very well. Junnie and I will discuss all on the other side. You're listening to Michelle and Junnie, 102.5, 106.3 in the Game Nashville app.
The college football season never stops. ESPN college football analyst Trevor Matich joins Stillman and Company every Tuesday at 4:30.
They've got to do what Nick Saban in Alabama has done so successfully over the last 10 years.
Presented by Houston Clinic Orthopedics on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Looking for an engagement ring that'll really knock her socks off? You need to be at Genesis Diamonds.
It's such a privilege at Genesis Diamonds for us to work with the world's finest designers, to be able to offer brands like Tacori and Verragio, and we're excited to be able to give you something nobody else can.
Genesis Vice President David Cooper.
The craftsmanship, the detail, the quality, the individuality is bar none better than anything else.
Genesis has been selected as an exclusive provider for every top designer from New York and California, with over 4,000 rings to choose from. And if that's not enough, they can create something that's truly one of a kind.
We can custom craft you literally anything you can imagine. We have the capabilities to realize any dream you have. Things that other stores may call new, we've been doing for 3, 4, and even 5 years already.
So don't settle for a ring with a stale design or with inferior craftsmanship. Let Genesis help you get the look, the quality, and the value you deserve. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs, voted year after year best jewelry store in Nashville.
Music City will be rocking June 23rd through the 25th with a different sound, the sound of NASCAR.
Start your engine!
The Ally 400 is back at Nashville Superspeedway, and this year, it's a night race. NASCAR in Nashville. It's guitars and fast cars under the lights. Visit NashvilleSuperspeedway.com to get your tickets for the triple header weekend, including the Ally 400, Tennessee Lottery 250, and the Rackley Roofing 200 today.
More than 80 million Americans depend on AM radio for their news, traffic, weather, sports, and a community connection. It's the backbone of the emergency alert system, keeping us safe in dangerous times. It's critical that we keep AM radio in cars, because when cell and internet services are down, this free emergency service could be your only lifeline. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress we need AM radio in cars. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Hey, Ray Jeter here with Harness. Are you looking to take ownership in a position that will support your growth and development? We are an excavation and site utilities contractor. Several things set us apart from our competition, but we take the most pride in the professional development of our people. We have multiple openings for operators, pipe layers, and laborers. Our pay and benefits are second to none, including our 401k program. Apply today at selectharness.com. Harness LLC. Build people, move dirt.
Want to weigh in on the conversation?
It's a brain booster.
Slide into our DMs. Or just text or call at 615-737-1025. Our phone line is driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. This is Michelle and Junie.
Well, thank you so much.
Presented by Superbook Sports on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Michelle and Junnie, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. We are live from our Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Game Studios this morning. And if you want to watch our beautiful faces, you can watch us streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live every single day. Our video stream is brought to you by Superbook. Download their app today and use the promo code THEGAME. Welcome back in. Asking the question to everybody listening today. Text us, call us, 615-737-1025, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. How different would you feel about this Tennessee Titans offense if they went and got a DeAndre Hopkins? And also just wanted to take a moment, too, to say thank you. It's Memorial Day weekend. Let's remember what we have work off for and are, celebrating or remembering this weekend is everybody who has served for our country and everybody who's, if they've passed on, celebrating their lives. So just want to say thank you to all the service members out there. If you're listening, remember what this weekend is for and what you won't be in work for on Monday.
No, absolutely. So while you're out there on the lake drinking some brews, just know that you have your freedom in your 3-day weekend because people fight for it. So, not everybody gets that privilege in this world. So here in this country, we do. So, thankful for those people. I have a lot of family members that serve, especially on my mom's side. So, thankful for them and thankful for their service. Just take
a moment out of the holiday weekend, to remember them. So just wanted to make sure to get that out there today on this Memorial Day weekend. But
Absolutely. I just want to say thank you to the people, men and women of the Stars and Stripes of America, because without them, we don't get to do what we're doing right now. So I want to say thank you to my relatives too, my cousins that have served in the armed forces, and appreciate what you've done for America.
100%, Nick. Well said. Bill Barnwell, a recent article that's been really circulating around the national market, Bill Barnwell had an article on ESPN ranking the best and the worst offseason. So going through every single NFL team, ranking them 1 all the way down to 32. And if you scroll all the way down, you keep scrolling, who do you find at 32, Junie?
That would be the Tennessee Titans.
The Tennessee Titans ranked by Bill Barnwell the worst offseason in the NFL. And Bill goes through to discuss some of the different reasons. And I think a good way to kind of sum it all up in the way he and the reason why he put them at 32 is because you don't really know where they are right now. When you draft a rookie quarterback, you assume, okay, it's a rebuild. But yet at the same time, you have a Ryan Tannehill who's got one of the biggest cap hits in the NFL. You've got one of, if not the best running back in the NFL right now. and you still have, yes, rising rookies who I think can be, focal points of this roster, like a Traylon Burks and like a Chigakonkwo, but the team is just in different spots. It's almost like they're one leg in a rebuild, but they're one leg in we're still going for it and we still want to be competitive in the AFC.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, I don't think that makes too much sense. I understand the Ryan Tannehill aspect of this because I'm all in favor of moving towards the future and trying to see what you have, especially, Malik Willis going into year 2. If he can, take that significant jump that we've seen a lot of quarterbacks do in their sophomore season. Will Levis, obviously, they traded up for him in the second round with a 33rd overall pick. You want to see those two guys get some opportunities. And the Derrick Henry aspect of this doesn't make sense to me because, Derrick Henry behind the worst offensive line still rushed for over 1,500 yards and 10-plus touchdowns, which he still – back for Derrick Henry is still a perennial top 3 running back in the NFL. So
it's still second in the league rushing.
Yeah, and I think that's pivotal. Where we are right now, when they decided to go with Will Levis, because with me, I was all for the Titans, moving off everybody, go get your quarterback in 2024, and really kick off the rebuild. I've been on record saying that, but when they drafted Will Levis, that is them saying that's our new guy. And so my whole narrative about this has shifted with that move. And so having a guy like Derrick Henry on this team and a lot of the national media wanting to move off Derrick at this moment in time is I just don't see why. You want to have a guy like that can, one, lead because this offense is so young. Him and Tannehill are the 2 veterans in the building. And number 2, having a guy like that still is playing at an elite level, you want to have that takes some of the pressure off of Traylon Burks that really wants to take that next step. And let's say Tannehill does get benched in the season. You want to have a Derrick Henry and have that elite running game to go along with a rookie quarterback. And it just doesn't make sense to me why the national narrative is just trying to push Derrick Henry out the door because obviously that's not what's best for the Titans, whether they are going into a rebuild or not. And it just baffles me with that as to why they would want to move off of their best player, their franchise player, the guy that's the face of the organization, because it would do nothing but hurt the development of these young guys on this offense.
So, Junnie, I think you have a great point right there. And you mentioned the national media and how the national narrative looks at this team. You mentioned they look at them, they moved up to draft a rookie quarterback. Okay, yep. They moved up and they forfeited being able to maybe draft Cedric Tillman or Jalen Hyatt because then their third round pick, moved back a little bit and they got Tajay Spears. So, when you look at this team, I guess I can understand why people maybe kind of scratch their head. But I also think, too, it plays into the way that the national media just views Ryan Tannehill. And I really do think that after that playoff game here in Nashville against Cincinnati, he immediately was written off as, a bad quarterback, like he's awful, when in reality, I mean, you put him in the NFC. The AFC is just stacked with quarterbacks right now. And we've discussed the difference between the NFC and the AFC. But, I mean, I'm still going to put Ryan Tannehill as a top 20, I think I could say, pretty confidently, top 20 quarterback.
I would say definitely so. Top 20 for sure.
In the NFL, I mean, obviously, not having them all in front of me right now, but I think you can feel confident to say, Ryan Tannehill can win you games. I mean, we've seen it here. We've seen it here with a Derrick Henry. So I really do think a lot of this has to do with him performing the way he did with all eyes on him in 2021. And then last year was really a wash because he got injured and was playing on a bum ankle for the time that he was out there. And then Malik Willis takes over and people forget. People forget what actually happened in 2021 or 2020 or 2019 when he was great for this team and he was winning a lot of football games. And I think that he can come back this year and be great. And the thing is, when you have Ryan Tannehill and you have Derrick Henry, you are going to win games. And you and I have gone through the schedule. I mean, it's not a hard schedule compared to the schedules. They've had the first place schedule the last couple of years because they've won the division. But you look this year, and I mean, there are a lot of teams that they face that could go either way. Yeah, I could see them winning that one. Maybe that one's a loss, but also I could see them winning. It's not too hard. I mean, they're not playing a Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen, whereas the Jaguars have to play them. So I look at those things, and I understand, yes, the Jags got better, but I'm looking at this Tennessee Titans team, and if you were to tell me that they won the AFC South, I wouldn't be surprised.
I would definitely be surprised if they won the division. I just think that the talent discrepancy between them and Jacksonville is a significant difference. But what Bill Barnwell did go on to say about things that I would agree with a bit. Holding on to players. In the addition of some of the offensive linemen, he kind of went into about whether or not they're prove-it players, and these are guys that. Some have gotten opportunities and been beaten out. We talk about Andre Dillard and his situation being a former first-round pick, getting beat out. Obviously, he played in Philadelphia where their offensive line is absolutely stacked. You look at Brunskill. Brunskill started in 2019 and in 2020, but was then benched in 21 and 22. And so you're talking about guys that came from, really good spots where there was so much depth and so much talent at their position. It's really unknown on whether or not they're going to come to Tennessee and seize those opportunities. So, Bill Barnwell kind of highlighting that I agree with. But the one thing that he said in this, and this is why I'm a little bit lower on the Titans. The national media has the Titans winning like 3, 4, or 5 games. I have them going 8 and 9. And this is probably one of the reasons why. He says, at the league's most critical positions, quarterback, offensive tackle, wide receiver, edge rusher, and corner, the Titans are deficient. And so not having elite level players in those positions, when you look at other teams that do, that to me is the one thing in this article that makes sense. Do I think the Titans had the worst offseason? Absolutely not. They addressed a lot of things they needed to. They got a lot of bargain players for good prices. And where they're at right now, they didn't need to go out and splurge to try and go for it another year. They're doing a little bit of patchwork. They're trying to get by and see where the direction of this franchise is going. But the critical positions aspect of this is the one thing that has me concerned about the Titans going into the 2023 season.
So what are high-valued positions, and who plays those positions with the Tennessee Titans? Junnie and I are going to discuss that all on the other side and how that may differ from some of the other teams in the AFC. You're listening to Michelle and Junnie on 102.5, 106.3 in the Game Nashville app.
All the big plays.
Henry right up the middle. Touchdown, Tennessee.
All the big stories.
The Titans' window to contend is however long Derrick Henry stays Derrick Henry.
All in one place. We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
Gets it back and scores.
Our execution was good.
They have not found their groove.
It's always great to win in this league. It's tough to win.
The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, it's Mike from Newton Nissan South. School's almost out. Parents, are you ready for the summer break? Long days, hot weather, restless kids? Oh my, we've got one possible solution for you. Our annual student car giveaway. If you have a high school student who makes good grades, listen up. Our student car giveaway is our way of rewarding those smart students. For every A on their report card, they get one entry to win a brand new Nissan Versa. That's right, good grades might equal a free car. The student doesn't even have to have their own driver's license. Just good grades on a Tennessee high school report card. It's simple to enter too. Just go to newtonnissansouth.com/our car giveaway and follow the instructions to enter. They must be present to win at the giveaway event at Newton Nissan South in Shelbyville on June 23rd. The deadline to enter is June 12th, so don't delay. Enter your high schooler today. Yes, this is a free car that will be given away to one lucky Tennessee high school student. Even if they only got one A in gym class, they're eligible.
Whether you're popping the question or ready to say I do, there's only one true jeweler to shop for your one true love. Hi, it's Alex Johnson from The Diamond Seller. As a true jeweler, we not only have luxury designer collections to meet your bridal needs, but we also have talented in-house designers who can create something truly one of a kind. For more than 75 years, our expert staff has been caring for couples just like you and providing the absolute lowest prices guaranteed. Visit us at the Diamond Cellar in Green Hills. The possibilities are endless.
This week's Nashville's Best Deal is Beach Bend Park and Splash Lagoon. Big park, bigger fun, and big savings with buy one, get one free admission. 2 parks, 2 tickets for the price of 1 while supplies last at thegamenashville.com/deals. Beach Bend Park, where parking, tubes, and sunscreen are always free. Your ticket to summer fun and just a short drive to Bowling Green, Kentucky. Get your BOGO deal while they last at thegamenashville.com/deals.
Join 102.5 The Game and 94.9 The Fan on June 6th for a night of music benefiting Souls for Souls at the Night Before Charities Writers Round featuring Saving Abel. General admission is $20 with every ticket going to purchase a new pair of shoes for a child experiencing homelessness. It's happening at the all-new Ballad East next to the Gallatin Hotel in East Nashville. Lineup also includes Louis Bryce, Brian Davis, Austin Ellis, as well as Lee and Tiffany Turner. Doors open at 6 o'clock. Get your tickets now at thegamenashville.com/golf.
Hey, it's Jared from my friends at Hiller. Hiller's Heat Wave Heroes are keeping you from getting burned this summer. If you know your home needs an air conditioning replacement, do not wait until it breaks down. You do not want to be sweating in your home. This month, get a free UV light and free electronic air cleaner when you buy select new HVAC systems. Or get a whole home water filtration for just $59 a month. Or get a new whole home generator for just $139 a month. Call Hiller's Heat Wave Heroes to save the day. Visit happyhiller.com to book.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game has an all-star lineup Monday through Friday. Batting first at 6 a.m., it's Robbie and Rexroad.
Yeah, you take that. You take that. Take 80% of that.
Followed by Chase and Michelle at 9.
Couldn't hit the broadside of a barn.
I need my caffeine so much.
Then it's Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace at 11.
Yep, green light, let's go.
You've got a lot of options. He say, she say.
And bringing it home at 2, Jared Stillman for Stillman and Company.
That guy will be a good coach.
We are Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. This is Michelle and Junnie.
Really? That's fantastic.
Presented by Superbook Sports on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Happy Saturday, Nashville. Welcome back in, Michelle and Junnie. 102.5, 106.3 The Game. And listen, you all should join 102.5 The Game for the 2nd annual Music City Golf Celebrity Tournament presented by Gary Force Acura, benefiting Souls for Souls on Wednesday, June 7th at Hermitage Golf Course. Plus, you can put your team together and come play with athletes, musicians, and other local celebrities like Junnie Riddle over here to support a great cause and have loads of fun. You want to support Souls for Souls, but you can't come and play golf with us? You can just check out our silent items if you just go to thegamenashville.com/golf for more information. Always a fun golf tournament. Last year, Junnie and Joe Rexroad stole my golf cart, left me stranded on hole 15 or 12 or something, but always a fun time, and you might see some cool celebs out there. So head over to thegamenashville.com/golf.
I'm always in the scoop when it comes to the celebs and who's going to be there, and I will tell you this. If you're a Titans fan or if you're a Preds fan, you might want to really look into it, because I think we got some heavy hitters that are going to be out there at the Hermitage Golf Course come June 7th. So it's going to be a fun time. And plus, the Hermitage Golf Course is a beautiful course. I love just driving around there. They have those little bridges that go over the lakes, and you can see a bunch of the turtles in the pond. It's a great place to go play some golf. So if you're interested,
they also have black sheep everywhere.
Yeah,
so.
It's a pretty cool environment.
Yeah,
I've played there a handful of times. It's a lot of fun.
Can't say I'm quite the golfer, but listen, I'll give a celeb shot when I'm whipping around in the golf course. We always have fun. So June 7th, mark the calendars right now. But discussing some of the high-valued players. What are high-valued positions. What is a high-valued position on an NFL team? I think the easiest one, quarterback, right? Everybody wants to have that elite level quarterback because you know how impactful they can be. But Junnie, give us a list of some of the other high-valued positions that maybe some people might not be aware of.
So, in my opinion, the high-level positions are, like you mentioned, quarterback, a true number one wide receiver, left tackle, edge rusher, and corner. So, I just feel as if all of these positions can completely change and alter an NFL game. And I'm not saying that other positions on the field aren't important. But when it comes to the guys that are getting paid the most money, edge rushers are always some of the highest paid defensive players.
Mm-hmm.
And Aaron Donald has been a bit of an outlier when it comes to that just because of how great he is. But, top-notch corners. Left tackles are the second high paid position, usually on the offensive end. Wide receivers nowadays, I mean, we saw it last offseason, like Tyreek Hill getting $30 million a year as a wide receiver with the Dolphins.
And then he's like, by the way, when I'm done with my contract, I'm retiring, guys.
No, and he has the right to do that. I mean, he's won a Super Bowl. He's been considered a top 5 player. So, but when I look at the Titans roster here, and I look at those positions and who they have plugged into those slots right now, it's a bit underwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that if you're missing out on a few of those, it's fine. Of course, like not every single team is going to have studs at all of those positions, but do the Titans really have like a solidified player at even one of them?
Okay.
That's my question. And I think going into this season with already the lack of depth at some of those position groups in general, not just those particular spots, I'm asking for certain people who are super high on the Titans this year in this market as to why they believe that.
No, and I think that's really fair. I mean, we've gone through quarterback. You have Ryan Tannehill. Could be worse, could be better. Pretty much middle of the pack, average. We can win you some games. So that's one. So that's not an elite player at a high valued position. Okay, you talk number 1 wide receiver. You have a Treylon Burks right now who is needing to be that number 1 guy, but the reality is he's only in his second season in the NFL. He played half of the games last year. He was injured. I believe he can take a huge jump from year 1 to year 2.
I agree with you.
But, it's not a jump to performing at an A.J. Brown, a Tyreek Hill, a Devontae Adams. It's not that big of a jump. So then you kind of look at that position and it's like, okay, there's still a question mark there because of his age, because of his experience. But, I mean, you hope he can take that jump. Left tackle. Okay, Andre Dillard, you assume that's going to be your left tackle, but what does that look like? Junnie, we went through his history. He was a first-round pick in 2019. He played with the Philadelphia Eagles, lost his starting job. Philadelphia Eagles, although do have one of the best lines in the league, have one of the best offensive line coaches in the league, in the NFL. So what does he look like taking over? First off, going to a new team, with everything that entails that, new offense, new everything, pretty much a whole new offensive line, a first-year offensive line coach. Can he be a left tackle? You look at, can he be like at the highest level of a Taylor Lewan left tackle?
Yes.
That's what you need.
And
you don't know.
And we saw the opposite of that last year with Dennis Daly and how that impacted and really destroyed the Titans season last year. I mean, needless to say, part of the reason Ryan Tannehill was as unavailable as he was because of the left tackle position. And so when one kind of correlates to the other, that's how this stuff adds up. And so if Dillard isn't at least middle of the pack this year and he's on the lower end, that can have a huge impact on how Ryan Tannehill plays this year, or any quarterback that's in the lineup, regardless of who gets benched, who's starting. It doesn't matter. Not having a solidified left tackle to protect the blind side of the quarterback is highly important, and that's why these guys are getting paid upwards to $20 to $25 million a year. So, as a guy that was a first-round pick that got beat out by a fourth-rounder who was a former rugby player, it just doesn't really make me feel comfortable saying that, like, that position's locked down. It's going to be significantly better than last year. I think it will be because of how awful Dennis Daly was last year.
Yeah,
but it still doesn't give you confidence.
To put it in perspective, the 12 games that Ryan Tannehill did play in, he had a total of 30. He got sacked 33 times, and that's not even a full season. Some quarterbacks get sacked less than that in an entire season.
Yeah.
And we saw what it did to the offense, to the entire team, when you take him out and you have to put a rookie in. So Ryan Tannehill's already another year older. He's coming off that ankle injury. He needs to be upright. Okay, so we went quarterback, wide receiver, left tackle. Am I missing anybody else on the offense?
No, that's all on the offense. But the defense, I feel like, is a bit more interesting, and you can argue this one a little bit more. And let's start with edge rusher. Danico Autry, his natural position is more of an interior lineman. So now that Harold Landry is back and you sign Arden Key, you still have Rashad Weaver. I think that they're going to move him back into that interior D lineman position. Let's talk about Harold Landry. So obviously, Harold Landry tore his ACL in training camp last year, didn't get to play at all this past season. In the year prior, he had his breakout year where he got paid and recorded 12 sacks. Now, Harold Landry, when he recorded the 12 sacks, I felt like he was kind of on the verge of becoming more of an elite pass rusher. But what really sucks about this is how deflating it is to have an injury like that, because as a pass rusher, especially as an outside linebacker with the 3-4 scheme that the Titans run, the ACL is going to have implications. And what better guy to talk about than Bud Dupree, who also tore his ACL, was coming off he lined up a couple double-digit sack seasons prior to that, and we've seen how that has impacted him. Being able to turn on a dime, being able to use spin moves and have leverage on the offensive tackles uses a lot of your knees. And I just have to question whether or not, is Harold Landry going to come back and live up to the contract that he got prior to his injury? And, maybe he will, but I just think going into this season, Harold Landry is not going to be the Harold Landry you saw. It's going to at least take him this season to kind of get his feet under him, get past the injury, and be at a point to where he can be playing at full speed and at the borderline elite level that he was in 2021.
And I also don't think it's fair to expect that from a guy coming off his best season, then tears his ACL. It's not fair to expect that he will come back. I mean, he played 99% of the snaps available every single game in 2021. You mentioned he had the 12 sacks. That's what you see. He was the guy who never got hurt. He was healthy. You could count him on every single game. It's not fair to expect that coming off that injury. I will say the one difference in the two is that Harold Landry has a couple years on Bud Dupree. He's 26, which is crazy. We're the same age, and he's just like killing it in the NFL. And then Bud Dupree is 30. So he does have the age factor on Bud Dupree. But as you mentioned, the knee, the twisting, the maneuvering, the trying to be able to be agile and things like that. And everybody heals differently. Everybody heals differently from an ACL. And I think an ACL in a wide receiver who's traditionally more of a smaller body than a guy who's going to be a rusher. He's going to be, bigger. There's more weight on that knee.
Taking hits on every single play.
So it's just different. So I think you mentioned Harold Landry. You mentioned Key. You think you're excited with him, but is that elite? Maybe. I mean, it's just a question mark. It really is just a question mark still.
And like I said, will Harold Landry get back to what he was? We will see. But it's hard to have that expectation this season saying, he's back. He tore his ACL in the preseason last year. He's going to come back and be 100%. I just don't see that. I think if Harold Landry records maybe 7 or 8 sacks, that would be a good season for him coming off the injury. But, again, that's not at an elite level. Now, the last position is corner. And
really quick before you get to corner, I think Rashad Weaver, I think you need to look for a pretty big step in him. Last year really was his rookie season because he was injured the year before, but we saw some rookie moments out there, because I'm just going to call it his rookie season. We saw some rookie moments. Patrick Mahomes, I remember that one play, he's chasing him. That was the difference in the game.
Wasn't good at setting the edge.
Yeah, no. So you're looking for some jumps, a rotational guy you can put in there. But obviously the two we mentioned, Key and Landry, are going to be the main ones.
And the last position, obviously, is your number one corner. You again, there's only a handful. I can count on my hand, the number of true lockdown corners. But you want to have a guy that game in and game out can go up and match up with the team's number one wide receiver with the amount of talent coming into this league. And Christian Fulton is not a Mike Vrabel guy. He's been dealing with soft tissue injuries, the hamstring, notably last year, taking him in and out of the lineup. Wasn't playing at a high level that we have seen him play in the past. But again, when we're contemplating on whether or not he's going to get re-signed, and a lot of us are leaning towards he's not going to get that second contract with the Titans, it's another question mark, especially when this secondary ranked 32nd in the league last year with yards given up. So just a lot of question marks in marquee positions this year. I think the Titans are going to be better than the national media said, just purely based off of the front seven, what they can do, Mike Vrabel, the will to win, being able to run the ball. I think that they're going to sneak out some wins, but they're going to struggle this year. It is a transitional year. It's a year that's really going to kind of set in stone what the direction of this franchise is and where they're going to go going forward.
Is there a guy out there, though, that could fill one of those high-valued positions that I think the Tennessee Titans still could go and get? Coming up next on Michelle and Junnie, 102.5, 106.3 in the Game Nashville app.
Sometimes it's good to be loud.
This is the NFL.
Especially when you're Jared Stillman.
That's where we are.
He's not afraid to say what's on his mind each and every day.
That was embarrassing. I don't care if you're a rookie. That was embarrassing.
Stillman and Company. Weekdays at 2 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Now through Memorial Day, get fantastic deals at Electronic Express. Get an LG 75-inch 4K TV for just $699 or a Frigidaire 4-piece kitchen package for $21.99. Electronic Express has huge savings in every department: computers, appliances, 4K TVs, smart home, furniture and mattresses, and more. Don't miss out on an Acer gaming monitor for just $129 or an HP 14-inch laptop for only $199. Get up to 3 years free financing throughout the entire store. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
What if you could be credit card debt-free in 10 days and save as much as $1,000 a month? Loan Pronto's all-new Express Equity Line of Credit program is just what you need. Hey, Willie Donick here. You don't have to do a full home refi. You can tap a small portion of the equity you have and enjoy a super low monthly payment. With Loan Pronto's Express Equity Credit Line, you can close in 7 to 10 days. And a $50,000 loan would only cost you around $400 a month. It's that money to pay off high-interest credit cards or do a home improvement. You can access up to 90% of your home's equity, and 9 out of 10 homeowners won't even need an appraisal. Even if you did a total refi recently or just bought your home, you can tap the equity with this fast, easy program. Stop the madness and say no to 24% interest fees. Call Loan Pronto today. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Hey, it's John Tesh. You want to know how to get better rates, better coverage, and better service on your home and auto insurance? Work with Zander Insurance. I know it's a big promise, but this team delivers. They've been around for almost 100 years and have earned the privilege of representing dozens of insurance companies so they can shop, compare, and find you the best options available. More options mean more savings, and in many cases, better coverage. But it doesn't stop there. Each year, they review your coverage to make sure your rates stay competitive. Nobody else does that. And when it comes to service, just check out their ratings. Zander is one of the top agencies in the industry, and they earned that spot with their commitment to making sure their clients are taken care of like family. That's what sets them apart. Go to Zander.com for quick online quotes or call 800-356-1780 for that personal touch that you've been missing.
Buffalo Bills Center of the West in Cody, Wyoming welcomes you as you enter Yellowstone Park's east entrance. 5 museums in one, including a wonderful Plains Indian Museum. Welcome to the West. Buffalo Bills Center of the West, Cody, Wyoming.
The postseason is here. Whether it's the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs or the NBA, we have you covered on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. This is Michelle and Junnie.
Well, thank you so much.
Presented by Superbook Sports on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
And I read his commentary about what he's looking for in the next team. You know, he wants he wants stability in the organization. He wants a good defense. And I thought the most interesting thing he said was, I want a quarterback who's all in, who's going to work hard and do all those things. I'm not saying he said that about Kyler Murray, but that leads me to think maybe he was saying something about what was going on in Arizona.
That was Mike Lombardi on DeAndre Hopkins and why maybe he left the or why maybe he didn't want to play for the Arizona Cardinals and what he could be looking for in a new team. It came out yesterday the Arizona Cardinals have released DeAndre Hopkins. They will take that $22 million dead cap hit. And now DeAndre Hopkins is a free agent, and people are excited. I'm excited. Welcome back in, Michelle and Junnie, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. When I saw that yesterday, I was getting my nails done, and all of a sudden I got text, and all of it said was D-Hop, D-Hop, D-Hop. And I thought, oh my gosh, did Tennessee go and get him? I was freaking out. And then I went on and I just saw that he had been released from the Arizona Cardinals. If DeAndre Hopkins came here, and I know it's a long shot. I know he said some of the quarterbacks, and we'll listen to that in a minute. I know he said some of the quarterbacks that he'd like to play for, and I know this isn't a flashy team. This isn't a Patrick Mahomes, a Kansas City, a Bengals. I get it. I need Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill and Mike Vrabel to all go into Rand Carthon's office right now, and I need them to get DeAndre Hopkins because I would view this offense so differently.
I would too immediately. I mean, you're talking about, Treylon Burks and his emergence as a year 2 wide receiver and the amount of change that we've seen in his body and his diet. He looks faster out there at OTAs. You can see that he's been putting in a lot of work. And the whole story,
he feels like he's that guy.
And the whole story about, him catching the plane, the one that Paul Kaharski wrote, that's awesome. That shows that he's really dedicated and he really wants to get here for the team. I talked about it last week with Frazier and Keyser about, the steps that he was taking and a person that I spoke to that's close to Treylon. If you put this guy with what he's about to do this season at the number 2 slot and you get DeAndre Hopkins, it changes this offense night and day.
Night and day.
It gives you so many other options. It makes it an offense that could really contend, I feel, in the AFC. For me, I don't see the Titans as a playoff team. If you go and get this guy, I see them as one of the potential shoo-ins for a wild card spot because that is the impact that you would get with him, especially if he can play the duration of the season.
You change the game when you go and get a wide receiver, a true number 1 wide receiver, not only a true number 1, but a veteran in this league. Then it's not as much pressure on Treylon Burks. Then not everybody is just stacking the box going towards Derrick Henry every single play of the game. If I'm Derrick Henry, I'm like, hey, Can we get another threat out here because I'm almost 30 years old. I'm not trying to have the box stacked up against me and everybody just gunning towards me every single play of the game. I mean, we saw that last year. You make some additions to the offensive line, but if you go and get a DeAndre Hopkins, it is absolutely a game changer to this offense. And to put it in perspective right now, so people, okay, how do you go and get him, right? That's the biggest question. Can you afford him? How do you go and get him? Okay. This is from Mike Herndon. So 10.6 in current cap space on overthecap.com, but once you take out cap charges for Skoronski and Levis, you're left with about $6.8 million. That's very doable. I want to bring up what the Ravens did with Odell Beckham Jr. The Ravens didn't have a lot of cap space. They offered OBJ I think it was about a $2 million per year contract, but that allows you to, manipulate the cap as we talk about a lot, but then they offered him about a $15 million signing bonus. So, he's getting that money. You offer them the bonus, hey, here's $15 million, but we're only going to technically pay you $2.2 million a year so we can, manipulate the cap and stay under that. And then if you do X, Y, and Z for us, we'll give you some incentives for that. I actually think the Tennessee Titans, that would be a perfect formula to go and get a guy like DeAndre Hopkins. You've got $6.8 million left over in cap, but then could you give him a signing bonus, add some incentives in there, and be able to make this work?
For me, so seeing that Odell Beckham Jr. essentially got, $15 million, for a guy like D-Hop, I feel like he's going to want more than that because he's younger than Odell. Mm-hmm. He's been a lot more available than Odell with injuries. He doesn't have all those big ACL surgeries that Odell has. I would see D-Hop as around a $20 million per year player. And the Titans, I also think, have to pay a little extra for him to be able to want to come here. So you're talking about maybe $22 million a year. That's what I see. So with him being released, I see this as being worse for the Titans as in terms of trying to go and get him. And I say this because he was making about $19 million a year, 19 to 20 million with what he was getting paid at Arizona. If they would have traded for him and gave up draft assets for him, then you would have automatically got him, and I feel like you would have got him at a cheaper rate. But the fact that he is a free agent now, and you're going to be in a bidding war with a bunch of teams that are looking to really bolster to their wide receiver cores, I think it makes it a bit harder for the Titans to be able to go out and get him just because of of what he said and listed where, he wants to go and play.
So who does DeAndre Hopkins want to play with? This was DeAndre Hopkins on the I Am Athlete podcast discussing the different quarterbacks around the league he'd like to play with.
One of my favorite quarterbacks that I've been watching since he came in the league is Josh Allen. Josh Allen, he reminds me of an old school or of a new school Andrew Luck. And I love Josh Allen. Jalen Hurts. Man, he's Houston kid, your dog, Jalen. Number 3, who I would love to have a ball thrown by. Patrick Mahomes, obviously.
Ooh,
Number 4, I'm gonna have to go with. I gotta go with the underdog, man. The people, not a lot of people respect this guy, but as a throwing quarterback, Lamar Jackson, obviously. And number 5, man, I'm gonna have to go with my dude at San Diego or the Chargers.
Herbert.
I'm gonna have to go
Justin
with
Herbert.
Man.
Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
So that was DeAndre Hopkins on the I Am Athlete podcast discussing some of the quarterbacks around the league. No surprise, all AFC quarterbacks, all the
except Hurts.
Oh yes, except Hurts, of course. But no surprise that those are the top quarterbacks in the league. You'd wanna play with all of them. But there could be an incentive to come play here. Might not be the flashy team. It might not be the Patrick Mahomes, the Josh Allen. But I do think there is one reason that DeAndre Hopkins could end up here in Tennessee. Coming up all in hour number 2 of Michelle and Junnie on 102.5, 106.3 in the Game Nashville app.
Want to jump into the mind of a 15-year NFL vet? Well, here's your chance. It's Ask D-Mace.
Come on, bring them on.
Ask questions on football and life to Derek Mason every Friday at 12:30 on Ask D-Mace.
Don't mess with her. The skilled guy. Money reigns supreme.
On Caroline, Willie, and on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
How can a half-carat diamond magically grow into a 2-carat diamond? With Genesis Diamond's 110% diamond upgrade guarantee.
Our trade-up policy is the best in the United States.
That's Stasia at Genesis, explaining how if you buy a diamond today and want to trade it in for a bigger one next year, Genesis always gives you back your original purchase price plus an extra 10%.
We will gladly give you every single penny you paid for the diamond plus an extra 10%, which is amazing. No one does that.
As a real-life example, take Stasia's customer, Paul.
When he first started, he got a half carat, and then as he became more successful, we rewarded him. He came in and he got a 3/4 carat, and then he's traded for a carat. I'm sure I'll see him this year for 1.5 carats. As they grow and change and become more successful, their engagement ring can grow with them also.
And there's no catch, no minimum trade-up requirement, and it works on diamond studs and diamond pendants as well.
You get every single investment dollar you put into the diamond, you will get an extra 10% towards the new diamond.
Genesis Diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolexes.
You can trade as many times as you wish.
Continuously voted best jewelry store and best place to buy an engagement ring. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Music City will be rocking June 23rd through the 25th with a different sound. The sound of NASCAR.
Start your engine!
The Ally 400 is back at Nashville Superspeedway, and this year, it's a night race. NASCAR in Nashville. It's guitars and fast cars under the lights. Visit NashvilleSuperspeedway.com to get your tickets for the triple header weekend, including the Ally 400, Tennessee Lottery 250, and the Rackley Roofing 200 today.
If you missed the latest from Stillman and Company.
So I hope that Spears becomes a star. Because if he's not, given what else they needed when that pick came up, and given what his role will be on a team with Derrick Henry, it's a bad pick. If he's not a star, it's a bad pick. Because good is what you had. And you could have signed good for $1.1 million. And when Tim Kelly says, well, it's not like we haven't had that, I'm thinking to myself, well, then why didn't you just bring that back for $1.1 million? Why'd you use a third-round pick to replace it? It better be better than what you had. At least that's my opinion on it.
Stillman and Company, weekdays from 2 to 6 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
When Smashville wants to rock.
I tried so hard and got so far.
station. 102.9 The Buzz.
Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 102.5 and 106.3.
A gunny performance. Do your job.
And the Tigers regain the lead.
The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Discussing the big sports stories of the weekend. This is Michelle and Junnie. With Michelle Knezovic and Junnie Riddle. Presented by Superbook Sports on 102.5 and 106.3. The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hour number 2. Welcome back in, Michelle and Junnie. Michelle Knezovic, Junnie Riddle, Nick Frazier with us. We are live from our Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Game Studios this morning. You can also watch us streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live every single day. Our video stream is brought to you by Superbook. Download their app today and use their promo code THEGAME. We'll be giving you our Superbook picks of the day at 10:45. Got a little postseason hockey, basketball, and of course Nick will have his soccer parlay for us.
It's going to be a good one today. Have a really good feeling.
Okay. He's been hitting them. So I would suggest tuning in at 10:45. You want to make a little extra money.
Last 2 weeks have been a little iffy, missing by one leg or so, but this week I feel it can be safe. Be safe with it. It'll be good.
Okay. And this week's Nashville's best deal is Beach Bend Park and Splash Lagoon Water Park. Go to theGameNashville.com/deals to buy a buy one, get one free admission for just $44.99. Beach Bend Park is your ticket to summer fun. Beach Bend Park and Splash Water Lagoon Park is just a short drive to Bowling Green, Kentucky. Water parks are truly one of my favorite things
I've been there
to do. Really?
Yeah, it was like maybe 10 minutes from my house when I went to Western. So, Beach Bend. I remember, Bowling Green loses like 20% of its population when school is out. So I remember, for the people that would stay there during the summers, and I never did, but I would always go down and visit multiple times and go and hang out. Oh, just getting a cooler and waiting for Beach Bend to open up and drinking some brews in the parking lot and then heading in, having a good day in the sun. Oh, it's a great time. I highly, highly recommend going up to Beach Bend. It's a good time.
Okay, so Junnie gave you his he endorsed it for you. So there you go. Beach Bend in Bowling Green. But we've got a texter on the text line. I think he brings up a couple good points when we were discussing the DeAndre Hopkins situation. And I said that there is one reason I believe that DeAndre Hopkins could choose the Tennessee Titans, and it's solely because of Mike Vrabel. I mean, you just look at the way people view him, the way players respond to him. He worked with him when he was in Houston. Tim Kelly was his offensive coordinator when he was in Houston with Deshaun Watson. Obviously, Tim Kelly is now the offensive coordinator here, and Derrick Henry helps too as well, playing with him. But I want to get to a text we had on the text line really quick, Junnie. And the texter says, but he's already getting the money from the Cardinals for this year, which is true. That $22.8 in dead cap money, that is still owed to DeAndre Hopkins. So it would help when bidding for him. He's already locked in with he's getting that money from Arizona. So Mike Herndon put out here on Twitter, and I think he put some interesting scenarios as to how they would go and get a guy like DeAndre Hopkins. And this would be without redoing anybody who's on their current team's contract. So obviously that's one of the easiest ones. See if you could maybe restructure a Harold Landry or somebody else and push it back a couple of years. So Mike Herndon writes, if the Titans wanted to sign him and they didn't want to redo anybody else's deal, they could offer him something like a 1-year, $8 million deal with incentives that would take him to 12 to 15 and add a couple void years, this making his 2023 cap roughly $4 million. So you add that, he's getting the money from Arizona. But it all depends on where he wants to go because DeAndre Hopkins has the keys now.
He has the keys, and I think that the way, he came out and said it. He's like, I want to play with a team that has really good defense because defense wins championships. I want to play for a sound front office, a good organization. But the number one thing that he wants, and I think is going to keep the Titans out of contention, is he wants to play a quarterback that wants to go and get a championship. And listen, everybody on the text line, like, I get it. I get it. Ryan Tannehill wants to go win a championship. What quarterback doesn't? Ryan Tannehill has a good head on his shoulders. He does it the right way. He's a great leader for this team. But in the eyes of everybody else outside of this city, Ryan Tannehill is not the guy that is going to go and get you Super Bowl. And even a lot of people in the city think that. So my thing is what is going to draw DeAndre Hopkins here? And you already touched on a few things. Played with Tim Kelly, in Houston, and he put up good numbers in Tim Kelly's offense. Mike Vrabel was also on that staff in Houston, so he's familiar with him as well. They have Titans, when healthy, are a really good defense. Mm-hmm. And the front office is known for being pretty sound, even though they did just hire a new GM. But, the Titans here, as of late in the last, 8 or 9 years, have had a pretty good front office and been looked at as a good organization.
They've been viewed as a good organization this last couple of years.
I just think the way that players and the media and the narrative surrounding Ryan Tannehill is going to be the reason why DeAndre Hopkins will not want to come here. Although the Titans could throw a little bit more money at him, I genuinely think he wants to play for one of those elite quarterbacks and really try and go for a ring. Because in any situation that he's ever been in, he hasn't really had that opportunity. Like Houston's never made an AFC championship. When he's been with the Cardinals, they haven't won a playoff game. And so I think he genuinely wants to go and try and compete for a title because he's at the age where he knows he only has a couple years to try and compete and play at a high level, which he's still at. So it's going to be tough for the Titans to get him. I would be absolutely shocked if they did. It would be awesome. It would change the narrative really around this team
very quickly.
I just think it'd be so hard to do.
So let's look at the teams and the quarterbacks that he did mention. He mentioned Kansas City. They're 32nd in cap space that they have, and the Buffalo Bills are 31st. So would it even – both teams barely have $1 million. Kansas City has about $1 million, and then the Buffalo has 1.6 in cap space. I understand you can manipulate things, but what is the likelihood either of those teams would be able to – get a deal done and actually go out and get DeAndre Hopkins? I understand, though, he's still getting that money from Arizona. And if a team like that were able to manipulate and figure something out for him, it would be a situation that he would be willing to be more flexible for because he'd be playing with one of those top-tier quarterbacks.
And again, if he were to sign not just a one-year deal, but maybe like a multiple-year deal, they could structure it in a way that year one's cap hit isn't as much and it's more incentive-based, and then in the following years he could get a little bit more money, knowing that Arizona, with the dead cap that they have going on, is going to be paying him, $22 million this year. So with all that being said, I think he's going to be a Kansas City Chief. I've been on record that I genuinely think he's going to be a Kansas City Chief.
But what do you think the opportunity for him would be there like? It's clear that Travis Kelce is the number one target there.
He would be the number one wide receiver, and then Kadarius Toney being the number two, I think would put them in a good situation. It's just, even last year, the talent at wide receiver was not there for Kansas City. I feel like they think that they really need somebody, especially losing Mecole Hardman, Juju Smith-Schuster. Mm-hmm. Like, those were their top guys, and those guys are gone. They got to find other, people to replace those. And Sky Moore was a little bit underwhelming last year. Can he take a big step going into this season? Maybe. But I see that in playing with Mahomes, and Kelce. I see them as the team that likely would want him the most. He mentioned Josh Allen first. They could always use another receiver. They do have Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs as well. But, nowadays when you're seeing, teams like the Bengals and the Eagles, these teams have 3 legitimate receivers on their roster. And in this modern NFL where receivers are a lot more valued than they used to be, having another guy and having 3 really talented players could put you over the edge.
So we talked about Kansas City. They are, I agree with you, Junnie, they are the one team that is an elite team, but they don't have a true number one wide receiver, right? We mentioned the Bills. They've got Diggs. We mentioned the Ravens. They now have OBJ. Herbert. Actually, the Chargers could be an interesting one. They definitely could be an interesting team that potentially he could be interested in. And Hurts, obviously, I just could not see the Eagles working out. They already have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, so.
I just think with the Chargers, they have Keenan Allen, they have Mike Williams.
Yes, Keenan,
and then
that's what I was forgetting.
they just drafted Quentin Williams out of TCU in the first round.
Yes.
I don't know if they would go in and throw a lot of money his way because they were already talking about possibly cutting Keenan Allen. So if they're going to keep him, I don't see them bringing in a guy just to be have an astronomically stacked roster, wide receiver room, I should say. But when they have a few other holes that they need to really work on and fix as well on the defensive end.
I think truly what this comes down to is what does DeAndre Hopkins want? Is he just ring chasing right now? Is that what he wants? Does he wanna play for a guy that is a football guy and Mike Vrabel and Tim Kelly, and does he care more about the culture and the day in and the day out and what the team is, or does he want to go and play with a Patrick Mahomes who any wide receiver one I'm sure wants to play with a Patrick Mahomes, but can the Chiefs even get something done like that? I mean, there's been rumblings about them trying to redo Patrick Mahomes' contract right now with the quarterback market skyrocketing. So what does that look like, and how does this play into, what they're doing with Patrick Mahomes, who's their guy?
Patrick Mahomes did come out this week, and I saw this quote, I think it was Thursday. He's like, I'm more worried about my legacy than I am what I'm getting paid. Because, again,
and everybody should be scared, the fact that he said that.
Oh, I mean, yeah, for sure. And we're seeing this now with the elite level quarterbacks. They're trying to follow suit with what Brady did. Brady gave up money to put money elsewhere, and he won 7 rings. These guys.
Joe Burrow said it.
And I mean, look at Brady now. I mean, even after football, he's got like a $350 million deal to go broadcast at Fox News. These guys are starting to understand that if I win and I'm an all-time great of my era, the money's going to come in other places. And these guys are growing and growing more mature. And I think the age of the quarterback getting these max deals and winning championships is starting to dwindle. I mean, we looked at it. The guys that are getting paid most in the league, they didn't even make the playoffs last year, like Rodgers, Kyler Murray, Deshaun Watson. None of these guys made the playoffs last year, and their teams are all kind of struggling financially. So we will see where that goes. But if the Chiefs want to make it work, they're going to find a way to make it work.
Unfortunately, I feel like that is, looking around the league, one of the most obvious landing spots, and that team could just be scary again.
But I like I said, don't rule anything out of the question. You never know. The Titans could see this as a desperation move to try and sell the fans on this year, and if they do it, because like I said, I feel like for me, being a broadcaster in this market, I'm probably more down on the Titans than majority of the other people. If this happens, the narrative is going to completely flip.
Completely. And I said to you earlier today, and it's been the question we've been asking on our text line, phone line, answer it. How different would you feel about this offense if they got a guy like DeAndre Hopkins? 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. We're going to go to our phone line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Kenny the Mailman. Kenny, how are we doing this morning?
Good morning, friends. Thank you for keeping me company on a work day.
Of course.
First of all, great analysis a few minutes ago when y'all said if they really wanted this guy, they would have thrown a low-round draft pick toward him, which would have locked him in at a lower price, and having to come here, it might have made him mad, but this would have been his starting point. They wasn't even interested in doing that. Now, there was a move this week that they logically could have made themselves a better team, and I guess they didn't even sniff around. They can't score. Scoring points is at a premium for the Titans. So when you have a chance to kick field goals, you've got to make them. Denver cut a very, very good, strong-legged kicker. We didn't even sniff at the guy. We sat back, and guess who signed him? When you get signed quick, that means you still are good. Guess who signed McManus this week?
The Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah. So a team in our division got better at kicking while we still have a huge glowing neon question mark. And it could have been at a lower rate. So I scratched my head. You were talking about big moves. They don't even make little moves.
Kenny,
great listening to y'all.
Thanks for calling in today, Kenny, and thanks for working on this weekend. I think Kenny brings up such a great point, and I am completely on the same page as him. And it's going to transition perfectly. Junnie and I are going to go through every single position on the offense, on the defense, and tell you: do we think they got better? Do we think they got worse? Or do you think they just stayed the same? Coming up next on Michelle and Junnie, 102.5, 106.3 in the Game Nashville app.
We are your home for every big pass.
Chase Elliott will pick up the stage 1 win.
Big wreck.
Joey Logano gets turned. He's hard into the inside wall.
And big win.
Kyle Busch has won here at the Talladega Superspeedway.
Catch every lap of NASCAR on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Get a great deal on one of the most versatile tractors in the industry, the Kubota BX, which is part of Kubota's tractor lineup rated #1 in durability and owner experience. Stop by Krebs Kubota today and bring home select BX series equipment for 0 down, 0% APR for up to 72 months. Plus, save up to $800. Now through June 30th, see Krebs Kubota or go to KubotaUSA.com for more details. Krebs Kubota, Middle Tennessee's preferred equipment dealer. Columbia, Franklin, and Murfreesboro. Online at KrebsKubota.com.
Family Leisure's 31st Memorial Day sale.
DIY pools start at just $19.99. 24-foot pools are only $29.99 installed. 6 months, same as cash.
Great prices on spas and hot tubs. The Cypress Spa by Strong is only $29.99.
I want some new patio furniture. Family Leisure has hundreds of sets on sale.
The Sabre Infrared Grill starts at only $11.99. Complete Bull Grill Island start at only $39.99. Installed with a Sabre grill head. Tanning beds, pool tables, massage chairs on sale now.
Family Leisure, 2 huge locations, Antioch and Franklin.
Join 102.5 The Game and 94.9 The Fan on June 6th for a night of music benefiting Souls for Souls at the Night Before Charities Writers Round featuring Saving Abel. General admission is $20 with every ticket going to purchase a new pair of shoes for a child experiencing homelessness. It's happening at the all-new Ballad East next to the Gallatin Hotel in East Nashville. Lineup also includes Louis Bryce, Brian Davis, Austin Ellis, as well as Lee and Tiffany Turner. Doors open at 6 o'clock. Get your tickets now at thegamenashville.com/golf.
Attention all fire and safety line experts. Middle Tennessee's fastest growing fire protection company is looking for experienced service technicians, designers, and sprinkler system experts like you. Tired of working for a large corporate employer? Work for a company where you're more than just a number. Jarrett Fire Protection is owned and operated by Nashville natives and wants to invite you to grow with their amazing team.
Hi, I'm Jason Jarrett, owner of Jarrett Companies. I'm looking to hire experienced sprinkler experts and will offer a sign-on bonus of up to $5,000 for certified professionals. In addition to our great benefits that include a 401k match, PTO, and top pay with annual bonuses, we will also provide you with the top-of-the-line tools, trucks, and equipment that you need to grow your career. Our customer base is large and business is booming with many opportunities for advancement. Give us a call or go online to jarrettfire.com and apply today to become a member of our family and protect our community. That's JARRETT fire.com. Jarrett Companies, where we are above and beyond industry standards.
Want to see our smiling faces? You can watch us on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live.
We are good to go.
Presented by Superbook Sports, voted #1 sportsbook in Vegas. This is Michelle and Junnie.
Really? That's fantastic.
Presented by Superbook Sports on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
You guys are going to trust us. You know, we're gonna put players in here that are going to help us win.
That last part kind of goes back to the previous question. You're going to find ways to improve your roster. Free agency's over and the draft's over. Aren't those the places to improve your
free
roster?
agency's not. They're going to let us sign free agents Monday. They will. Chad will. Rand will. They'll let us sign free agents on Monday. Free agency is going to go all the way up until the season starts. There'll be players that are on other teams that will become available Monday. Take a look. It'll be real large waiver wire. We'll scour that. We'll continue to look for trade possibilities and opportunities. Chad and Vin will help us with the salary cap, find ways to open up salaries so that we can potentially sign other players. There's been a pretty good process here, and I'm excited about it.
Mike Vrabel, after the NFL draft, discussing free agents and guys they might try to go out and get. Welcome back in. Michelle and Junnie, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. We just had a great call from Kenny the mailman, and we've been talking a lot about DeAndre Hopkins. Of course, once he got released yesterday from the Arizona Cardinals, it's been the biggest news in the NFL for quite some time now on which team will try to make it work to go out and get a guy like DeAndre Hopkins. We've talked about how they could make it work here, and like we said, a wide receiver one, big, it's flashy, it's exciting, but Kenny the mailman brought up a really good point on a kicker that was just cut from Denver and McManus, and the Jacksonville Jaguars go and sign him, a position that you have been looking to find consistency at for quite some time now. And you know, you and I have talked too, and I made a point on Chase Michelle earlier this week that with the type of offense you have and the way that your team is constructed, where your defense is winning you a lot of games and your offense is, I mean, last year I think they averaged about 20 points a game. Like, if you could get up to about 24 points a game, you're beating a team with your defense, but you need a kicker who can consistently get you that extra point, consistently can get you 3 points, because every point is going to help this team. You're not a team with a Patrick Mahomes who can just chuck it down the field, make plays, Josh Allen. You don't have a number one wide receiver like that. So that's why this kicker position is so incredibly important, Junnie. So I guess we'll just start there, for better or worse.
So, I mean, obviously, I would say worse because who we have now is Caleb Shudak, and he only played in one game last year, and he was 1 of 1 from 20 to 29 yards. And then from 30 to 39, he was 2 of 3. So he missed between 30 and 39 yards. Didn't even have the opportunity to kick between 40 and 49. I don't see this kid as the answer. I don't see it. I don't think he has the leg strength. I don't think he's accurate. I'm not a believer in it. So yeah, Randy Bullock compared to other starting kickers is going to be, bottom 5. He might have been the worst, but he's still better than what you got right now.
Well, I look at Caleb Shudak, young guy. You don't have to pay him. Obviously, Randy Bullock's going to be a little bit more expensive, but it's still a kicker. Like, it's not a flashy, high-valued position. I mean, well, to some teams, they're valued more. But I think you could even throw a kicker in somewhat of a high-value position. I mean, Yeah,
how many times in a 2-minute drill does it come down to setting up for a final kick? I mean, we saw it a couple times last year. They missed our
Giants game, first of the year.
They missed it in the Giants game and in the Chargers game. There was a crucial 51-yarder that Bullock missed that really could have changed the narrative towards the end of the game. So that was only 2 games for the Titans, and I think it's a little bit of an anomaly to only come down to 2 situations, because most teams have 5 or 6 of those situations in a season, to where it comes down to the 2-minute drill and in the final minute of the game where a kicker needs to go and seal it. So it's a big question mark. Kicker is obviously a huge question mark, and I'm going to go with last year being a better situation than where they are right now.
Well, and just quickly, one more point on the kicker. I mean, how many times were the Tennessee Titans in a game this past year where it was you could win on a kick or you could lose on a kick? I mean, they were in that situation. They played close games. I mean, I think they beat the Colts 19-17 earlier, or 19-10 or something like that. Like, those are the types of games that this Titans team is winning. So when you talk about, okay, 2-minute drill leading up to a kick to seal the deal, I agree with you. I think worse. I mean, I don't think Randy Bullock was great, but I think you definitely got worse without having him. We'll just go down the list. We'll start on offense here. Quarterback, I'm going to say obviously better. Malik Willis in his second year, Will Levis added to the room, and then of course you have Ryan Tannehill. You already know what you have with him.
I'm going to say better for the quarterbacks as well. Just a much better room, more experience for Willis. You hit the nail on the head. Quarterbacks are better this year.
Running back, Derrick Henry, Tajay Spears, Hassan Haskins, Julius Chestnut.
I would take this year. I'm a big Tajay Spears guy. I think he is going to make immediate impact. I think he, as a guy that's a 1-2 punch with Derrick Henry. Obviously, Derrick's going to take majority of the load, but he's a change of pace guy. He's quick. He's a great receiving running back, and his change of direction and change of speed, it's elite. And if he stays healthy without the ACL, I think Titans fans are going to be eating their words about their criticism on draft night.
Hey, if you don't have an ACL, you can't tear one.
Yeah, that's very true.
I agree, though. I think Tajay Spears is going to be such an intriguing player and an intriguing weapon on the offense for this team. You know, whether you set up with two guys in the backfield, a Derek, a Tajay, I will keep wanting to say Tajay Sharp, Tajay Spears in the backfield. I mean, I think that, first off, not only his rushing ability, but his pass catching ability, I think it's going to be pretty intriguing, and I'm going to say that room got better. Wide receiver. You've got 1, 2, and 3, Traylon Burks, Nick Westbrook, Akine, Kyle Phillips, Chris Moore, Racey McMath, Colton Dowell, and then list goes on and on. But
can't forget Mason Kinsey.
Reggie Roberson, which I actually saw in practice, and I said, who is that? Because his body, he's a big-bodied receiver, big-built guy, and I'm kind of looking at him to see what he does in training camp this year. This one for me, I'm going to say stays the same. I don't think, and people are going to say, well, they had Robert Woods last year, but he really was a non-factor and you were paying him a lot of money. And I think, and that's me betting on the fact that Traylon Burks takes a big jump this year. And based off his body language, the way he's spoken, what I've watched from him in OTAs so far, I'm going to bet on that this group got a little bit better, just a little bit.
I'm still going to go with last year. And you say Robert Woods didn't do anything. He was still the leading receiver on the team. He's still a veteran. I mean, talk about the narrative that we spoke about prior to the season last year, talking about his leadership, his voice in the locker room.
Yeah.
Right now, they don't have a true veteran leader in that locker room, and I think that losing Robert Woods is a loss in that aspect. I totally get the money. I totally understand why they moved off from him, but I'm gonna go with last year's receivers.
Okay, tight end group. Chigakonkwo going to be your number one tight end. Josh Wiley. So those are going to be the two main ones. You obviously had Austin Hooper last year. This one is hard for me. I'm going to say they got a little bit worse because although we didn't see Austin Hooper as much as we would have wanted to early on in the season, last year, or towards the second half of the season, he made some really crucial catches that ended up putting the Tennessee Titans in the win category for those specific games. So I'm going to put a tad worse. You obviously hope that Chigakonkwo, and I think he will take that step to be the number one tight end. But
Hooper still had a solid year. I mean, 450 yards. It's pretty solid for a tight end. I mean, everybody brings up the loss of Jonnu Smith from a couple years ago. I mean, he in his first year here, I mean, the yards in a season were comparable. So I would say the loss of Hooper is also pretty big. Josh Wiley, a rookie, kind of unknown, not as great of a pass catcher. Slight frame. Don't know if he's going to be a great blocker. So I would say, yeah, it got a little bit worse than last year.
Okay, moving down to offensive line. Andre Dillard, Peter Skoronski, Aaron Brewer, Daniel Brunskill, PT, Nicholas Petit-Frere, and then some depth guys, Marco Jones, Dylan Radins, Corey Levin, Jalen Duncan, who was a later round draft pick. I'm going to say they got better. I mean, I don't think you could get much worse than last year and the play we saw out there last year. But then again, you did have Ben Jones as the anchor, a veteran guy. How different will that look this year? And these are 5 new guys playing together that have never, played together on this offensive line. So Aaron Brewer and Nicholas Petit-Frere, but it really is a whole new offensive line.
I would say it just depends on the narrative, onto what you're talking about. If you're talking about going into the season, I would say no. When you have a healthy Taylor Lewan, Nate Davis, I feel like, is better than both Brunskill. He's going to be better than a rookie Peter Skoronski. I think Skoronski's ceiling is obviously a lot higher than a Nate Davis. But when you're talking about Ben Jones, Nate Davis, and Taylor Lewan going into the season, I would say that the hype around the offensive line was better last year. But like you said, with what occurred and how it transitioned really early with the loss of Lewan, Jones going down, Nate Davis in and out of the lineup all year long, the offensive line is going to be more improved.
And I think we can easily agree that from week 18 last year in Jacksonville to now, definitely improved. Brad, stay with us on our phone line. We're going to take your call regarding DeAndre Hopkins, and then Junnie and I are going to switch to the defense, go through which groups got better, which positions got worse, and which just stayed the same. Coming up next on Michelle and Junnie, 102.5, 106.3 in the Game Nashville app.
Every day we are live and local.
Most people picked them to make the playoffs before the season even started.
And your source for Nashville sports.
He can still wait for 5 more games before he makes that decision.
We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Tonight, Sounds Baseball is celebrating Hit City Saturday with live music at 5:15. The Sounds will be wearing specialty jerseys for Copa de la Diversión as the team transforms into Las Nashville Villajuelas. The first 1,000 fans will take home a Villajuelas scarf. Visit NashvilleSounds.com for tickets.
What's up, everybody? Teron Davenport here for Superbook Sports. Bring that big bet energy this summer with Superbook Sports. Superbook Sports is the most trusted name in sports betting. And right now, use promo code THEGAME to score up to $250 with their first bet bonus. Win or lose, they'll match your first bet up to $250 with promo code THEGAME. Simply visit superbook.com for terms and conditions or download the Superbook Tennessee app in the app stores. Enter promo code THEGAME and you'll get $250 courtesy of Superbook Sports. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
CMA Fest is happening in downtown Nashville, June 8th through 11th, with dozens of performances by many of today's hottest black country artists, including K. Michelle, Chapel Hart, the TSU Aristocratic Bands, Breland, and many more. Proceeds benefit the CMA Foundation and music education programs. Visit CMAfest.com for details.
For more than a century, AM radio has evolved to meet the needs of our community. In their car, at home, or on the job, more than 80 million listeners depend on AM radio each month. AM radio is also the backbone of the emergency alert system, which keeps us safe in dangerous times. It's reliable, free, and public safety depends on it. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress we need AM radio in cars. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
The offseason is in full swing, but there's no slowing down ESPN's Teron Davenport.
The flow of information.
He talks the talk.
Spears gives you that guy that can still hit the home run.
And walks the walk.
As a run blocker, he's going to murder a linebacker at the second level.
On Everything Titans, TD is on Mondays at 1, Thursdays at 3, Friday mornings at 8, and anytime on the Talkin' with TD podcast. TD is on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. This is Michelle and Junnie.
Well, thank you so much.
Presented by Superbook Sports on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Michelle and Junnie, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Welcome back in. We are live from our Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. Michelle Knezovic, Junnie Riddle, Nick Frazier with us on our ones and twos, and we're going to go to our phone line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Brad wants to weigh in on DeAndre Hopkins quick. Hey, Brad. Brad, you there?
Hey, it's Tim, actually.
Oh, sorry. Tim.
Anyway, okay, hey, thanks. It's very nice to hear some local sports talk on Saturday morning.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
Here's what I have to say. So I've been with the Titans from the jump. I'm a huge fan, but I've seen all these older receiver free agents come in, Julio Jones.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I remember back to Yancey Thigpen, et cetera. Robert Woods, I mean, he was all right. But, I mean, I don't know why we can't develop our own receivers. I mean, A.J. Green was great. I don't know the front office and all that stuff, what happened behind the scenes, but I mean, I'm not a big fan of bringing in Hopkins. He was great, but I just think it's too much baggage now. But that's all I got, and thank y'all. I'm going to listen. All right.
Thanks, Tim, for listening, and we're here every Saturday, 9 to 11, so you get your sports talk fix. Have a great weekend. So that was Tim just kind of weighing in on, him just being older in the league. I think that's a valid point. I mean, they did develop A.J. Brown and then weren't able to re-sign him. So they were able to develop a wide receiver. But, yes, at the time, the Julio Jones trades, I was completely on board with it. It obviously did not turn out how you wanted it to.
Julio was 32, and that's a
older.
few years older. Hopkins, a little bit younger. I think Hopkins still has at least 2 more elite years left under his belt, and then maybe he'll probably fall off a little bit. But it's to be seen. It's to be seen, and it also just depends on where he goes. So we'll have to see about DeAndre Hopkins.
But yes, we are here every Saturday morning, Tim. So you get your Sports Talk Radio fix 9 to 11 a.m. And moving on now to the defensive side of things for the Tennessee Titans. If I can pull up this depth chart here real quick. Okay. So we just went through the offense. We're saying if they got better, worse, or stayed the same. Now we're moving to the defense. Okay, let's just do the front, right? And I'll name Jeffrey Simmons, Tear Tart. Tear Tart is an interesting one, and I want to bring this up really quick before we go into this, Junnie. Tear Tart has not signed his tender yet.
Yes.
So what that means is he signed a waiver to be able to be at OTAs, which he was this past week, but technically another team still could get him before he signs that. So that's something to kind of just keep your ears out for. I thought it was pretty interesting when I found out he hadn't signed it yet.
It is very interesting that he hasn't signed it. I think he's going to wind up signing it. If not, the Titans trying to come out and give him an offer, maybe like a little bit of a prove-it deal, add a little bit of extra money. Because let's be honest, Tier Tart had a pretty good season last year. And
remember that interception?
Yeah, and the tip ball that he ended up catching, was that against the Colts? I think it was against the Colts.
I think it was,
in Indianapolis. But no, he had a really good play. He was really disruptive in the running game. I think they wind up, reaching a bit of a prove-it deal. T.R. Tart's just not a name that a lot of people are going to know around the league, and I just don't think that somebody else outside of the Titans organization are going to value him as high as the Titans will. So I think he'll be there. But when it comes to the defense from this year to last year, obviously the turnover isn't as much. I mean, I look at
we'll do front, and then we'll do inside linebackers, outside, and then secondary.
That's easy.
Okay, so front. How do you view that?
Front is the same. Tart, Danico Autry, Jeff Simmons. That's a stalemate. So I see that as exactly the same. Especially if these guys, stay healthy. They're going to play at the elite level that we saw at the beginning of the season.
I agree. You hope Jeffrey Simmons. He was doing some individual work during the OTAs on Tuesday. So you hope that he kind of paces himself and is ready to go, ready to gear up for training camp.
I will say this though, Danico Autry, as well as he played last year, he is getting up there in age.
He is.
And he did struggle with injuries at the tail end of last year. We need to be on the lookout to make sure that he's still playing at that elite high motor level that we saw last year. So something to look out for, but I'm still going to give, Danico Autry the benefit of the doubt until he shows otherwise.
I agree, Junnie. Just for perspective, he is 32. He had that knee injury kind of in the middle of the season last year, and we saw what that defense looked like without him there. So you hope that, an offseason of rest and they're able to stay healthy this year. So, okay, we'll go inside linebackers next.
Hands down, last year it was better. I look at Azeez Al-Shaair, wasn't a starter. He was more of a rotational piece in there with the 49ers, which, is number one defense. So I think he'll be solid. But when I look at Monty Rice, and he's also been a guy that has been in and out of the lineup with injury, it just pains me that the Titans let David Long Jr. go for the amount of money that he does. I look at David Long, and yes, Vrabel was sick of all the little injuries, and maybe he wasn't taking care of his body enough outside of the room. But when he was on the field, he was just a difference maker. It was the passing game. He had the interception against the Commanders that sealed it. He's a former running back, and the way he could twitch and turn his hips and evade oncoming blockers to go and make the tackle. He was at times he was just playing at a different level, and having David Long. I know Zach Cunningham was banged up all last year, but he's also been known as a really good run stuffer. The high end level of play that the guys that were starting last year had are much better than this year, and I just think that that's really going to affect what the Titans do best on defense, and that's stopping the run.
David Long Jr. is going to be such a loss for this team, Junnie, and I said it in the offseason that Jeffrey Simmons was the number one guy they needed to get re-signed, but I said that David Long Jr. was right there second for him. He's a guy who was homegrown. He has and amplifies everything it means to be a Tennessee Titan. The deal that he got with Miami, it was a very team-friendly deal. The guy was a 6th rounder. He wasn't even making, I think he was making like $600,000. He wasn't even making $1 million. And it was a deal that he got with Miami that I wish could have been made here. I understand Mike Vrabel made those comments at the end of the year of the repeat offenders, but then we saw some comments from a columnist in Miami at the Miami Herald interviewing David Long and him being just really surprised by those comments and that he didn't stay in Tennessee. So I look at that position, that inside position as worse. I agree. Starting off the season with those guys, with David Long Jr., he was a difference maker out there. He really was. Switching to outside linebackers, Junnie.
I'm going to go slightly better.
Okay.
Last year, we saw Rashad Weaver, Bud Dupree in and out of the lineup. I just think with Harold Landry, I think he will stay healthy this year. And I think that he will automatically be the best edge rusher out of the 2 seasons with his play this year. He's not going to be the double-digit sack guy this year. I think that's the expectations for that is way too much for him.
Unrealistic.
And then also, getting Arden Key. I'm not as high on Arden Key, but I think with the opportunity to be a starter and not as a rotational piece like he was in Jacksonville, I think he can produce a little bit better than Rashad Weaver, and I think that he will be a better edge rusher and a more sound veteran edge rusher that's not going to, not set the edge, because that's one thing that Weaver did that really frustrated a lot of people. Was he's strictly trying to go after the quarterback, didn't play the run game as much, and allowed people to get on the outside. And as an edge, you just can't do that. So I will say this year with the depth and getting Landry back, it'll be better.
You know what I love about Arden Key? Arden Key came into this organization, and when they signed him in the offseason, he had a couple press conferences, and his personality and his voice is louder than life. We've seen what he's been able to do on the field in Jacksonville. What can he do now with maybe a bigger role, and can he live up to that? But when we were out at OTAs and just following this team in the offseason, when you're watching the defense, you always know where Arden Key is. Like, he is louder than life, motivating people. He is in it. He is ready to go. Like, you always know where he is. And I think his personality and his love for the game and his intensity on the practice field fits so well into this defense. And it gives me David Long Jr. on the field vibes. Right? I mean, it'll be different when we see Arden Key, of course, on Sundays, and what does it look like on game day. But I remember David Long Jr. specifically against the Chiefs and him and Travis Kelce going at it. He got in his head. And if you can get a guy like Arden Key like that, who just has that little edge and just really fits into this Mike Vrabel defense, he is probably the number one player I'm really excited for on this defense
Interesting.
This year. Okay, moving to the secondary.
I'm gonna say they're gonna be slightly better, and I'm looking at it as Amani Hooker was dealing with a lot of injuries. Christian Fulton being down in Miami, working with some specialists on his hamstrings that also worked with D-Wade and LeBron back in the day. So you're talking about him doing like a lot of like yoga, Pilates, trying to do some different routine things to maybe limit those soft tissue injuries, and that was the reason why he wasn't at OTAs. I did not have a big issue with him not being at OTAs because he was trying to deal with something that Vrabel addressed about him in the offseason. So I think they're going to be a little bit better. Also getting Sean Murphy-Bunting, who I think will likely play in the slot corner position. Mm-hmm. The fact that him and Molden will be competing in that area and that they're also putting Molden at the safety position and making him more of a flexible piece, I think that's adding depth and adding more versatility to this secondary. So I'm saying that the secondary is getting a little bit better than last year.
I agree. Molden had a pretty breakout year, too, in 2021. It was his rookie year. He wasn't effective last year with that injury. Talked to him the other day at OTAs. He mentioned getting some reps at safety. I agree with you. I think the Bunting was a good addition. You hope Roger McCreary, he was a guy who was available every game. He had some rookie moments out there last year, but you saw his versatility. Obviously, you've got Kevin Byard back there, Amani Hooker. Christian Fulton situation, really quick before we head into the last segment. I understand. Yeah, great. Go work with the trainer in Miami, deal with the hamstring issues. He helped LeBron, D-Wade. Awesome. You have all offseason to do that. At OTAs, you're in a contract year. You know the comments Mike Vrabel has made. You know how important it is to be there. You do that in the offseason, and you are in the facility on the first day of OTAs. It's just the way I view it.
Okay. I agree to disagree. Certain players go, certain players don't. I think if you're doing the right thing by not being at the voluntary stuff, I don't have a problem with that. But in totality, with the last two segments that we've done, I have the quarterbacks, running backs, edge rushers, secondary as getting better for the Titans and getting worse was the wide receivers, the Titans, or the tight, not the Titans, the tight ends, the inside linebackers, and the kicker. So it really kind of evens out as I went through this. and I was actually kind of surprised by it a little bit. So,
well, and we talked about those high-valued positions. It looks like it's pretty much even that you have on there. Some of the high values got better, and then some, got a tad worse. Gunner on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, says, you'd think the Titans would go 0-17 with all of Junnie's takes on the positions.
That is, again, a lot of people are down on, because I'm more down on the Titans than most people. Like I said, I'm not down on the Titans. A few years ago when they were the number 1 seed, I actually projected them to be the number 1 seed. I try and set the reality of what I think. And I think sometimes people who are fans of the team, who have covered the team for a long time, kind of get the horse parallel lenses that, they see the potential of what they could be. I'm trying to give the outside view of here's what I think that they actually are. And I'm sorry if that's a little bit more negative, but that is just, I'm giving you my honest opinion about it.
In reality, it is May 27th, and no one knows.
No one knows.
17-0. They could be 15-2. I mean, you truly don't know. Rounding out the show, coming up next, we're going to give you our best bets of the weekend every Saturday at 10:45 from Superbook Sports. Coming up next, I'm Michelle and Junnie, 102.5, 106.3 in the Game Nashville app.
They talk sports.
The Predators get the 2 points, which is obviously what they needed.
They're not making big moves that are jaw-dropping signings in free agency.
They talk life.
Well, I almost just fell down the stairs, so there's that.
My backpack was so heavy, the seatbelt alarm was going off the entire trip.
But most of all, they have a good time.
Here or there.
Yeah.
Chase and Michelle, weekday mornings at 9 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Start your savings journey now. A strong savings strategy creates financial stability, leading to more opportunity for you and the people who count on you. At F&M Bank, our savings accounts help you save easily, plan for expenses, and prepare for whatever comes your way. Life is complicated. Banking shouldn't be. Come see us at one of our branches or online at myfmbank.com. F&M Bank, banking made easy on purpose. Member FDIC.
Does this sound familiar? Did your agent provide excellent entertainment with their TikTok videos and constant social media posts about themselves while completely ignoring that you hired them to sell your home? Did they tell you how wonderful they were? How many followers they had? They probably never sold your home, but hey, they did get 15 likes on their selfies. Hashtag my clients love me. Don't let that happen to you. Google TJ Anderson Homes and see why the only likes we care about are our clients loving our service. Ask us about our prepay with TJ option and how it can save you thousands. TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. Office number 615-432-2919.
It's almost time for the second annual Music City Celebrity Golf Tournament presented by Gary Force Acura and benefiting our friends at Souls for Souls. Join us on June 7th at the President's Reserve at Hermitage Golf Course. You can put a team together to play with athletes, musicians, and other local celebs like me. It's going to be awesome and for a great cause, and you'll have a great chance to win great prizes. Sign up to play, sponsor, or simply donate at thegamenashville.com/golf.
Nashville Sounds Baseball lives on 94.9 The Fan. Catch every pitch.
Swing and a miss, strike 3.
Every hit.
That's a base hit.
Every run.
Looking up, it's gone.
On your home for Sounds Baseball. 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
This is Michelle and Junnie.
Really? That's fantastic.
Presented by Superbook Sports on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, money, money.
Dollar, dollar.
You know what time it is? 10:45 every Saturday morning. We will be giving you our best bets of the weekend presented by Superbook Sports. Welcome back in to Michelle and Junnie. Michelle Knezovic, Junnie Riddle, and of course, our betting man, Nick Frazier, with us live from our Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Game Studios. Rounding out the day, fellas, we love to do a little betting to round out the day and use our favorite Superbook Sports app. We have got the NHL, we've got the Dallas Stars and the Vegas Golden Knights at the same freaking time as the Celtics and the Heat. I mean, we have no sporting events going on, and then the two games are at the exact same time. I don't get it.
I know that's a problem for some people, but for me, I'm gonna have them both on.
Mr. Two TVs.
Double TV'd up. Listen, Target's having a sale, and if you don't take advantage of it, I don't know what to tell you. So either way, but I'm excited about both of these games tonight. I think the Dallas Vegas game. I think it's gonna be a tough one. But is that the one we're going to start with?
Yeah, we'll start in the NHL. Okay, I'm sorry. That game starts at 7.
Okay.
7 tonight, and then
still same.
And then 7:30 is the Heat Celtics. So basically at the same time. Yeah, let's start. Dallas Stars and Vegas Golden Knights. Dallas Stars plus 126 on the money line, and then Vegas is favored by 1.5, and the over/under is 5.5. So however you want to go with that, I guess. What are you thinking?
I like Vegas at home. I think this series could have been a lot different if Dallas would have won their 2 games in Texas, but I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be very low scoring. I see a 1-2 game, and I think Vegas either wins in the third or this game will go to overtime tied at 1.
I am right on the same page with you, Junnie. I'm taking the under 5.5 for this game. I think the Vegas Golden Knights, they close it out and we get a Vegas Florida Panthers, and neither organizations have ever won a Stanley Cup, so I always love that when a new franchise gets a cup. But I'm going to take, I think the Golden Knights win. I'm going to take the under 5.5, but I'm going to take the Dallas Stars plus 1.5. I think that this game is between like a 2-1 game or something like that. So
I agree. I think it's going to be just a 1-goal game. It's going to be very physical hockey tonight against 2 really good defensive teams.
Nick, what are you thinking?
I'm taking the Vegas Golden Knights to finish out this series. I do like William Karlsson to get 3 shots on goal, which is plus 126, and to be a goal scorer is plus 280. I just think Vegas, they should have closed it out last time. And also people that don't know this because they don't see our schedule, but anytime I am either producing a NHL playoff game or just any NHL game period, it always goes to overtime. So if I'm here, just text me and I'll just yeah, overtime's the best bet to do.
Okay, and then what are the odds on an overtime betting that?
Oh, that's a great question. Let me look.
Yeah, if you have that would be great because Nick is doing the game, so we could pretty much guarantee.
No, I'm not. No,
oh, you're not.
No, I am not.
Oh,
nope.
okay.
I'm gonna gladly say no.
Okay. I thought that was your point there.
No, I was just kind of insinuating. I was like, well, if somebody's here, I know it's not me, but plus 330, by the way.
Okay, well, that's some pretty good value there.
I like that
value there. I might
put a little money on that.
Yeah, dabble a little bit on that. Okay, switching to the NBA side of things. I was so mad that the Heat didn't close it out in Boston the other night.
Why?
I'm just so over the Celtics. Maybe because I've been having an argument with somebody about, is Jason Tatum a superstar? And I've just...
You don't think he's a superstar, or do you?
No.
What?
I think he's a star, but I don't think you can put him in that superstar upper echelon.
He just set the record for most points scored in a game 7.
Okay. Has he won a ring yet?
No, but he's also super young.
Okay.
I think Jason Tatum's a superstar.
I think that we so often
he does come up short in clutch moments, but I mean, LeBron was like that for a lot of the beginning of his career, and he struggled with that.
Yeah, no.
And he's a superstar.
I just think so often we give the superstar title, like we automatically see a guy. He's an amazing player, but we automatically. I mean, I only classify a couple guys as superstars.
Ever since he's been in the league, the Celtics have always been in contention in the East.
Yeah, he's a star,
and he's the number 1 player
he's a young
on the
star.
team. Again, with those intangibles and the amount that he puts up for his team, if he has a good game, they typically win. If he kind of chokes in the moment, they typically lose. Like I put him as a superstar. He's not the high end superstar, but he is in that superstar category to me. But let's get into this game tonight. I am happy that we are having a Game 6 because I would rather watch basketball than sit in here and have no basketball for an entire week because, the NBA Finals, even if the Heat did wind up sweeping the Celtics, we were going to wait 9 days for the next game. So I would rather be watching basketball, and I'm going to take the Celtics to win tonight.
Really?
Listen, I think the Celtics are a better team. I think the Heat have a lot of pressure to them, and Jimmy Butler came out and said he guarantees a win. So if you guarantee a win, that's just adding even more pressure to the rest of your team. I know Jimmy Butler can handle it, but can the rest of his team handle it? Give me the Celtics. I think they're going to make it interesting because I think they're the deeper and I think they're the more talented team.
I think a huge part, too, is, and we were looking for this earlier, is Gabe Vincent going to play? You saw how much he was missed the other night in Boston. I think just the Heat looked really sloppy the other night. I mean, the Celtics had 33 points off of the Heat's turnovers. I think that game, they look sloppy. They look slow. They couldn't handle the ball. I obviously mentioned Gabe Vincent, who's been a role player, who's been really effective in this series. And a question of, Tyler Hero might be available to come back if the Heat advance to the finals. So that would be huge for them if they do advance. Mention the line. It's Celtics favored by 3. The Celtics have been the favorite in every single game.
I think except for game
3 or 4.
It was 3, yes.
It was
Game
3?
3.
But, these have been big lines. This is the closest line they've had.
Oh, yeah, and I think that this is going to be a tough-notch game. I also, the spread or the over-under keeps going down. And
209.5 right now.
209.5. It was 210 at the beginning of the show. So I like the under. I think one of these teams don't break 100 points. I think it's going to be like one of those 104 to 99
Similar
games.
to the last
it's
game.
Going to be. I think it's going to be a highly defensive battle, and they're going to put a lot of effort and energy because I'll tell you what, the Heat don't want a Game 7 in Boston, and Boston's going to be Boston's going to do everything they can to get that Game 7 in there to try and make history.
Give me the Miami Heat plus the 3. Give me the under 209.5, and give me also the Miami Heat plus 125 on the money line. Nick, give us your picks for this game, and then give us your soccer parlay of the day.
Yes, I can definitely do that.
Football.
Yeah, couch,
parlay.
whatever. Exactly. The world sport. Yeah, I like the Miami Heat in this game. Plus 3 is a gimme number. Just give me the money line along with you. I have a little heat wave parlay. Max Strus, 15 points. 3 made 3-pointers from Max Strus. And Jimmy Butler over 7.5 rebounds. Miami Heat plus 3. And Jimmy Butler 25 points. You put 25 on that wins 374.
Woo, I
so,
like that.
Good little cash.
I might be placing that right after we get out of here.
Also, correct score. I'm going with Miami Heat to win tonight, 112-97.
Ooh, okay, big win.
Ooh, okay.
Now, do you have an NSC parlay?
I sure do. They play tomorrow. I'll make it quick and brief. They just came off a cup loss, the U.S. Open Cup loss to Inter Miami CF. They beat them last weekend in a regular season game, and I just feel like the wins are not really in their favor for this game because they're playing Columbus Crew. They have a lot of possession for the most part, but they're in the 11th spot in the standing, and Nashville SC is 5 points out of the top. So here's my little parlay. Over 1.5 goals, 7.5 over 7.5 corners, Nashville SC -1 on the corner spread, and just a little sprinkle, Jacob Schaffelberg to score a goal.
Okay, every day at 10:45, or not every day, every Saturday at 10:45, Nick will give you a nice little soccer
That's
parlay.
25 to win 238, by the way.
Also, the Columbus Crew just lost to the Pittsburgh Riverhounds.
Exactly.
Which is the, what league is that? It's the
USL.
league below.
Yep,
the USL,
USL.
which is the league below. So, Columbus isn't that good. I like NSC's chances. And also, NSC tied in points for the second best record in the MLS. They're having an outstanding season.
I wouldn't be surprised if a clean sheet this weekend. That's all I'm saying. Hopefully they will, but we'll see.
Happy Saturday, everybody. And also, Memorial Day. Remember what we are celebrating out there. Thank all the people, who've served for this country. Remember all the people. Remember why you have a day off from work and you're on the lake or enjoying a little vacation. So an important weekend to remember. Good to be back in the saddle. Nick Frazier, Junnie Riddle. I'm Michelle Knezovic. Every Saturday, 9 to 11 a.m. on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Happy Saturday, everybody. Enjoy your weekend. And same time, same place next week. 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Every Wednesday at 8:30.